deal was this?
It's the most wonderful time of the year, and you know what that means, right?
Impossibly long shopping lines, courtesy of last-minute shoppers like you.
Well, yes, but no.
Another remake of How the Grinch Stole Christmas?
Probably not, but you never know, I guess.
Hmm. Oh, I know. A marathon of Hallmark. Jack Black showing up as Satan to a naive young kid with dyslexia. Instead of giving him presents, offers him 3 wishes in exchange for a soul.
What?
Nailed it.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Joking aside, if you guessed this movie was coming out, then you should go get a lottery ticket or something, because dang, certainly wasn't a blip in my mind. Just by chance I happened to roll across it in my Facebook feed and thought, well, I guess this hasn't been done before, and if it has, it's news to me. Not exactly a breath of fresh air, but compared to what else came out recently, I figured I'd be less appalled by Jack Black being himself again versus Art the Clown completely destroying Christmas in his third movie, hacking up unsuspecting victims because, haha, murder clown. This being a streaming movie, I figured might as well either rent it or purchase it there instead of going to a theater and paying all their convenience fees, and there's no more cheap seats in your town, so what you gonna do about it, fees? Guess all those fees are necessary to pay all the robots or something.
Definitely.
If you know anything about Jack Black, then you have a rough idea of what you're gonna get. Varying degrees of lowbrow humor, musical numbers or references, and a somewhat wholesome message tied in there somewhere. And being a Christmas movie, if you're expecting anything else than a largely happy ending, you're fooling yourself. Although, bringing Satan into the movie seems to raise the difficulty bar on how believable the happy ending will arrive. It's gonna happen, so no surprises there. So without further ado, let's get this going, alright? We're briefly introduced to Molly, Bill, and Liam Turner, who recently moved to town for a change of pace, and right off the bat we notice a few family problems. Molly and Bill have a lot of friction between them and just can't get into the holiday spirit. Liam, struggling to acclimate to the new environment, and torn between having a single friend, saying he has cancer, likes to play football, but neither are true, and knowing his parents' marriage is likely on the rocks, decides the best way he can help is to write a letter to Santa. Dad protests since he's 11, and too old for Santa, stating if his classmates find out, they'll likely beat him up, but Mom thinks it's a good thing, so she'll allow it. Turns out Liam only wants to do this because he thinks it'll make his mom happy, and given the situation, sees it as a reasonable sacrifice to make for his struggling family. Later the next day, he goes to drop off the letter, and we learn something very important about Liam. He is dyslexic, a fact we learned a little earlier in the movie while he was in class. So instead of writing Santa on the envelope, he writes Satan, and after dropping it in the special mailbox, the letter magically transports down to its unintended recipient, who is mildly baffled, but also rather pleased. Later that night, good old Jack Black, or Satan, shows up in Liam's room, expressing his delight in having finally received a letter, and quickly learns about Liam's dyslexia. But instead of correcting him and leaving, he decides to play along, and convinces Liam that he really is Santa, and only has glowing red eyes, brimstone stains, and horns to keep a low profile. Not sure if it's just me, but being the age of the internet, you'd think Liam would have some sort of access to at least see a caricature of what the devil looks like. And there should have been more questions, but I guess arguably there were about the reindeer and his jolliness, but seriously, red eyes and horns?
Who are you expecting, Santa Claus?
How did that not trip off a few more Red Riding Hood type questions to good old Santa?
Hey, kid. Thanks for that letter you sent me. I never really get those. Being Satan and all, you know. Wait a minute. Satan? I wrote my letter to Santa. No. No, of course not. I'm not Satan. I didn't say that at all, did I? I'm Santa Claus, yes. Ho, ho, ho. Oh, why do you have glowing red eyes? The better to search your soul with, idea. That's a little weird, but yeah. What about your furry legs? Oh, these, the better stay warm out there, because baby, it's cold outside. I don't like that song. It's offensive. Alright, listen here, you little...
Language.
Well, maybe not exactly like that, but you get my point, right?
Duly noted and ignored.
But unlike Santa, who should have read his letter and brought gifts, states that he'll do even better than that by granting Liam 3 wishes. Granted, Liam doesn't buy it immediately, but it doesn't take much convincing either. Satan talks him into getting a chance with Emma, a girl he's interested in, who is currently dating someone else, and makes him believe that it'll happen because he made his cat dunk a basketball and say a few words.
Actually, I'm not even mad. That's amazing.
The next day, after receiving a bit more encouragement from Satan, Liam asks Emma out on a date, and true to his word, it works. Overjoyed with this news, he explains to Gibby that Santa has granted his wish. Gibby asks to see the letter which Liam received back the night before, and helps Liam realize his mistake, that it's actually Satan he wrote the letter to. Understanding the severity of the issue, he tries to back out, but Satan isn't going to be dismissed that easily, because after all, 3 wishes are granted, Satan gets his soul. Convinced everyone has their price, Satan offers Liam 2 VIP tickets to the Post Malone concert as a freebie, but Liam isn't too keen on losing his soul still, and Satan isn't going to give up that easily either. Say what you will about Jack Black's portrayal of Satan, but I think he does a good job. He acts like your best friend, but ultimately he's only after one thing. And even though he comes across more like a used car salesman at times, deceit and flattery are tools that get used pretty often by him, so good job, Jack.
Well, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan. I always have been.
Liam did forget in all the excitement of getting backstage VIP tickets that he needs permission to go to the concert from his parents still. After arriving back home, his parents invited Dr. Finkelman, child psychologist, over to discuss Liam's Santa problem. However, all 3 get much more than they bargained for when Liam explains his mistake in writing a letter intended for Santa, but it ended up going to Satan. Before the rabbit hole goes completely sideways, Gibby shows up and tries to bail Liam out for the concert for his chemo session. His parents are skeptical, but Satan shows up pretending to be Gibby's dad, and they all head out. Call me old-fashioned here.
You're crazy.
What parent in their right mind is actually going to let their child of any age go out after they just admitted they accidentally wrote a letter to Satan, and then kept communication with him?
He never let me have any fun.
I mean, granted he didn't say, oh, by the way, he's given me 3 wishes, but I've got a plan. Yeah, that's not going to fly with anyone. I mean, maybe if you can play the fiddle like a boss, but come on! Dr. Finkelman should have just grabbed a sedative and stuck him with it and carted it off to the hospital. But, you know, old-fashioned here.
Hey, Dad! You're adopted. I mean, what do you want? You know how I said that my friend has cancer? Well, I promised him that I would go and support him in his chemo session. Can I go, please? Oh, like hell you're going. Well, you should mention that.
What?
Oh, nothing. Well, whatever. You may be going to the hospital, but you're not going to support your buddy. We're going to strap you down to the medical table and have James Wood save your soul, right?
Language.
Or not. Well, anyways, you're not going regardless. My dad! Stop calling me that. Please, please, I just gotta go. Please.
In the arms of the angel.
No, cut that out. Fine, go, whatever, I don't care. Talk about your Santa problem later.
You're a monster. I'm not the monster here. You are.
Anyway, at the concert, Satan further tries to sell Liam on getting whatever he wants, and that he can give it to him. Satan uses his powers and temporarily convinces Post Malone that Liam is his inspiration. Once Emma learns that, she seems to fall for him even more, including the entire arena after Liam gets to jump up on stage and bust a move. Later that night, Liam and Gibby discuss how Liam wants to kiss Emma properly, and suggests Gibby tag along with a date of his own. However, Gibby doesn't feel up to it due to his overbite issue, so Liam decides to use his second wish to fix that.
Now, is that an official wish? Say the magic words.
The next morning, Gibby notices his issue has been magically resolved, so the three of them decide to go to the festival that night. Liam, now certain he is totally not going to use his third wish, lets Satan know that and heads back with some tasty hot dogs. But unfortunately for him, his parents' sanity caught up to them, and they kidnap-style throw him in the van and drag him off to the hospital. Satan shows back up, tempting him to take him back to the carnival, but Liam's standing strong for now and dismisses him. Liam's parents find out there's nothing physically wrong with him, but then one of the nurses who was at the concert the night before shows them that Liam was actually at the concert and not Gibby's chemo session. They go home, and instead of leading with something like, "You're grounded for a year," or something dramatic like that, Liam storms up to his room because his parents ruined his life. While his parents go discuss that, they should have believed him. They go back and forth between Liam's issues, which leads into what is truly at the root of his parents leaning toward getting divorced. Liam's little brother, who passed away before they moved here, because they both blame themselves for it, but just don't know how to talk about it, which is admittedly 100% realistic and believable. Meanwhile, Liam has been dealing with his own stress, having fallen for Satan's deception earlier in the hospital, and accusing Gibby of trying to take Emma away from him. Overhearing his parents' argument after hanging up on Gibby, he decides to take matters into his own hands and runs down to the hotel Satan's staying at, intent on making his third wish. Not caring about the utter wholesome nature of the wish, and oddly deciding to grant it, even advising Liam on how to properly make the wish so it doesn't backfire him.
Sucker! I'm just messing with you. Congrats! Welcome to the squad!
So Liam resigns himself to being miserable since he literally just sold his soul, as I assume anyone with any faint grasp of sanity would feel too. Satan tells him to just go ahead and have fun with the rest of his life, since he's going to be a little toasty for eternity.
Your booze mean nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer.
While this is happening, Liam's parents' argument ends when Molly heads upstairs to find Liam, only to find he's seemingly run away. Frantic, they go out looking for him and pull over to clear their heads, about the time that Liam made his wish. The two reconcile quite easily, considering they've been languishing over the loss of their son for months, likely due to the wish. They happen to notice Liam wandering back home and express gratitude over not losing their second son, and all go home together. The next day, even though Liam showed no signs of wanting to go just hog wild on being a rebel, tries his hand at it by telling off the annoying crossing guard, Emma's old boyfriend, though he does take one dead on the kisser, and surprisingly walks it off with no further issues, and his English teacher by calling him an utter failure to his face. The teacher, instead of tossing him into detention faster than his head could spin, Liam apparently struck a chord and the teacher walks off utterly devastated. However, since Emma sees this last display, she brands him as a bully and breaks up with him on the spot, shattering his confidence entirely. After school, Liam receives a call from Gibby, and they mend their rift between themselves while contemplating what Satan's up to now. Turns out that Jack Black wasn't actually Satan, but merely an underling, and it turns out that the real Satan won't take Liam's soul now because the wishes granted were selfless and for the good of others. So as punishment, Jack will be banished from hell forever.
Yes, very sad. Anyway,
Jack goes back to Liam to let him know that the deal's off and that he gets to keep his soul. Suspicious of why, Liam presses Jack and finds out Jack's sad fate. Jack lets Liam know that his courage and his parents getting back together was something they all did on their own, and technically didn't count as a wish after all. They say their goodbyes, and we proceed to Christmas morning. Turns out his parents getting back together was part of Liam's original letter to Santa, and it happened because, A, it's Christmas. So instead of taking a turn for the worse, the movie gets an unexpected happy ending.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Before the credits roll, Liam narrates his letter, and turns out his real wish was to have his brother back, which miraculously happens. This happens because Jack switched sides, and somehow used his pole to get Liam's dad the pony he always wanted.
It's a Christmas miracle.
Gibby calls Liam to let him know he convinced Emma to give Liam another chance, using his dead brother to build up sympathy for Liam, and Liam's response?
Uh-oh.
And before you thought it was all over, remember the teacher and the crossing guard? Yeah, they hook up because we need to close that love interest. Because again, hey, it's Christmas. So, what have we learned? I mean, the movie's not horrible, but it's nothing to write home about either. Jack Black is his usual irreverent self, and the awkward but well-meaning boy remains incorruptible after some relatively minor pushback, aka his girlfriend breaks up with him. Honestly, it feels like Jack Black and the Fairleys wrote a mostly irreverent but unintentionally wholesome Hallmark movie, even though most of the wholesomeness came at the very end. While some things in the movie were explained, albeit weakly, such as Post Malone passing off forgetting Liam's concert night as a memory lapse, or why Gibby's teeth stayed fixed after Ben Stiller and Jack Black argued about the wishes being null and void because too wholesome and granted under false pretenses, a typical devilish MO, which they do admit, and why the parents tag-teamed on who was being more ridiculous over not believing Liam. Is it perfect? Of course not. Could they have done worse? Absolutely. On a star rating scale, I'd give this one 3 out of 5. Expecting Jack Black to be anyone else other than himself is obviously not going to happen. He's going to be over the top, crass, but still have that endearing charm that will continue to draw his fans back for more of the same. Ben Burnley put it excellently in an interview that he had recently, stating, "You have people that will complain because you sound the same, and then you'll have people that'll love you because you sound the same. There's no way to have both. Existing fans will be happy, but I doubt that new fans are going to be won over by Jack Black's Hallmark-esque style attempt at a Christmas movie. When it's all said and done, it's worth a single watch at least, or maybe another watch if you're bringing a friend over to try to get them interested, but aside from that, that's probably all you're going to get out of it, and honestly, you could do a lot worse. So, until next time, toodles."
I never say toodles either. Just FYI.
Liam receives a call from...
What do you call this, fudge nuts?